Imagine a world transformed. Antarctica, millions of years ago, a vibrant, verdant land teeming with life. But even in this prehistoric paradise, terror lurked. Picture, if you will, some 56 million years ago, a predator unlike any other stalked the ancient jungles. A giant, flesh-eating bird, standing a staggering 6 feet tall, its weight rivaling that of a modern-day lion. For eons, it reigned supreme, unchallenged and unopposed. But what led to its demise? And could even larger, more terrifying predators still lie hidden beneath the frozen wastes? Our story begins with a discovery. Paleontologists, driven by an insatiable curiosity, unearthed two colossal claw bones in the Antarctic wilderness. These weren't mere fragments. They were sharp, curved instruments of death, undeniably belonging to a terror bird. The discovery site, the Epsian-aged rocks of Seymour Island, dated these remains to approximately 40 to 50 million years old. The shape of the claws spoke volumes, confirming their owner as one of the most formidable predators ever to walk the earth. The terror birds, scientifically known as Forus racidae. These avian nightmares were flightless, their wings rendered obsolete by evolution. Instead, they were built for speed, capable of sprinting at breakneck paces, like ostriches born from a fever dream. For millennia, they dominated South America, and now their presence in Antarctica was confirmed. In this era, South America and Antarctica were still connected, allowing for the free flow of animal migrations. These terror birds likely migrated south, adapting to the prehistoric Antarctic landscape, not just surviving, but thriving. Yet this reign of terror was not to last. At some point, this apex predator vanished. The culprit? A slow, agonizing environmental shift. Antarctica was cooling, gradually transforming into the icy wasteland we recognize today. The terror bird's prey likely dwindled, leaving the predator unable to sustain itself. Ultimately, it disappeared, leaving no descendants to carry on its legacy. Researchers continue their quest, hoping to unearth a complete skeleton, a window into the life of this incredible creature. They also dare to wonder, what other colossal species might still lie buried beneath the ice? Could these terror birds have evolved into a completely new Antarctic lineage? For now, all we have are those two giant, unsettling claws, chilling reminder of a lost world. Many believe Antarctica to be devoid of life, a barren expanse of ice and snow. But this is far from the truth. Penguins, those charming waddlers, still call this place home. And let's not forget, these aren't the only penguins. Imagine the terror of encountering a 6-foot-tall penguin. Today, emperor penguins stand as the largest penguin species, capable of diving to depths exceeding 1,800 feet and holding their breath for over 20 minutes. But even these impressive birds pale in comparison to their ancient cousins. Around 38 million years ago, giant penguins roamed Antarctica, reaching human sizes. Fossil evidence reveals they possessed long, razor-sharp beaks, making them formidable hunters of fish and squid. The marine life of Antarctica is equally captivating. Forget the familiar image of giant squids. Colossal squids are the true nightmares of the deep. Some reach lengths of over 40 feet, armed with massive serrated beaks and eyes the size of dinner plates. And then there are the orcas, the apex predators of the Antarctic Ocean. These intelligent hunters operate in packs, employing tactics reminiscent of wolf packs to bring down seals, fish, and even massive whales. Even plant life clings to existence in this harsh environment. Moss and algae, Antarctic hairgrass, and pearlwort somehow defy the odds and thrive. Myths and misconceptions abound about Antarctica. One popular belief suggests that icebergs, once they break free from glaciers, drift directly into the open ocean until they melt. The reality is far more complex and chaotic. Initially, a newly calved iceberg must contend with underwater obstacles. It can remain grounded on the seafloor for decades, seemingly frozen in time. Then, they often become ensnared in powerful whirlpools, spinning in place for months on end. Take iceberg A23A, for example. It spent nearly 4 decades, trapped before finally breaking free, only to be caught in a swirling ocean vortex for an additional 8 months. Subsequently, their trajectories are dictated by a complex interplay of ocean currents, tides, winds, and even the underwater topography. Their movements are anything but straightforward, filled with unexpected twists and turns. Another persistent rumor claims that humans are unable to travel more than 300 miles inland in Antarctica due to an impassable ice wall, freezing jet fuel, deadly winds, and a lack of oxygen. This is patently false. Antarctica has been extensively explored by planes, vehicles, and even scientists on foot. An entire research station stands proudly at the South Pole, inhabited by people year-round. The ice wall itself is real, a massive ice cliff rising dramatically above the ocean. However, it is not a secret barrier, but rather an ice shelf. These are thick platforms of ice that form when glaciers gradually flow off the land and extend over the ocean. They comprise nearly 3/4 of Antarctica's coastline, but they do not form a continuous ring around the continent. Antarctica remains one of the most extreme environments on Earth. Yet, we have overcome its challenges, and our understanding of this remarkable place grows with each passing year. That's why millions of dollars are invested annually in supporting ongoing research. Imagine Antarctica, not as the icy wasteland we know, but as a vibrant, green land teeming with life. Millions of years ago, before the crushing weight of ice took hold, this continent could have been alive with the hum of insects and the thunderous footsteps of dinosaurs roaming through lush forests. But what became of these ancient inhabitants? That's the mystery a team of dedicated scientists is trying to unravel, searching for the faintest clues buried beneath the ice. Antarctica remains one of Earth's greatest enigmas. A world shrouded in snow and ice, its true form and size remain stubbornly obscured. In places, the ice sheet is a staggering 3 kilometers thick, a depth rivaling half the Mariana Trench, the deepest abyss on our planet. Yet this frozen shroud possesses a remarkable quality: the ability to perfectly preserve the past. Like a colossal time capsule, snow accumulates layer upon layer, year after year, entombing nature's history within its icy embrace. Picture this: fresh snowfall, light and airy, easily sculpted by the wind. As more snow accumulates, the pressure intensifies, gradually compressing the layers below. Air pockets are squeezed out, transforming the fluffy snow into a dense, unyielding ice. This relentless pressure acts as a lock, sealing everything within. Ancient plants, long extinct animals, even entire prehistoric landscapes are trapped, frozen in time. The extreme cold acts as a natural preservative, slowing decay to a glacial pace. Bacterial growth grinds to a halt, preventing rot and preserving organic material in near-perfect condition for millennia, sometimes even millions of years. This is precisely the scenario unfolding in Antarctica. Scientists are engaged in a painstaking scan, probing deep beneath the snow and ice to reveal the secrets of this lost world, a world buried under miles of frozen water. Their discoveries point to a hidden landscape beneath the thickest ice of East Antarctica, near the Aurora and Schmidt subglacial basins. The immense weight of the ice, sustained over eons, has shielded the land from the ravages of erosion. What they've found is nothing short of astonishing: a ghostly echo of Antarctica's past, a landscape utterly unlike the smooth, featureless expanse seen from above. Imagine rivers once flowing freely, now frozen in place, their currents stilled for millions of years. Valleys carved by ancient waters. Even 3 imposing, sharply peaked hills stand as silent witnesses to a bygone era. To truly understand this hidden world, we must journey back even further in time, to an era when Antarctica was still an integral part of a colossal supercontinent. Hundreds of millions of years ago, the landmass we now call Antarctica was a component of Gondwana, a supercontinent uniting South America, Africa, India, Australia, and Antarctica into a single vast land. As Earth's tectonic plates inexorably drifted apart, Gondwana fragmented. Antarctica was torn asunder, its landmass stretched and fractured. The massive ice sheets that subsequently formed draped over this broken landscape, preserving it like a collection of colossal frozen fossils. As the ice shifted and melted over vast stretches of time, valleys were carved, and ancient rivers likely flowed towards a coastline that lay hundreds of miles from its present location. But the secrets of Antarctica extend far beyond its frozen rivers and hidden valleys. Beneath the ice, a dramatic landscape awaits discovery. Towering mountains pierce the icy surface, while deep valleys scar the terrain. Even fiery volcanoes slumber beneath the frozen blanket. In West Antarctica, at least 138 volcanoes lie buried, their fiery hearts dormant. One of these, Mount Erebus, remains stubbornly active. Within its depths lie warm volcanic caves where one could comfortably stroll in a t-shirt, a stark contrast to the frigid landscape above. And if that wasn't bizarre enough, Erebus is also spewing gold. Yes, actual tiny particles of gold originating from deep within the Earth. Scientists believe that magma, the superheated, semi-molten rock beneath the Earth's surface, carries liquid gold as it rises. Each day, Erebus releases approximately 0.2 pounds of gold, worth around $6,000. Over a year, this amounts to 64 pounds, or more than $2 million worth of gold, floating into the atmosphere. Before you grab your pickaxe and head south, remember that these are microscopic particles, often smaller than 60 micrometers, thinner than a human hair. They are scattered across a vast area, up to 620 miles from the volcano itself, making their recovery nearly impossible. But this phenomenon underscores the fact that even in this seemingly barren, white desert, countless mysteries await discovery. Consider this. Life persists, even in this extreme environment. In 2017, scientists drilling deep beneath the Ross Ice Shelf in search of water stumbled upon an extraordinary discovery. A river flowing beneath 1,640 feet of ice, hidden in perpetual darkness. And within this subterranean river, hundreds of tiny shrimp-like creatures swarmed around the camera, their presence a testament to the resilience of life. In deep caves beneath the ice, DNA evidence has revealed traces of moss, algae, and potentially even unknown, minuscule animals. It seems that even in one of the harshest environments on Earth, life finds a way to flourish. Let's plunge into the frigid, inky depths of the Antarctic Ocean. Imagine the scene, an eerie blue twilight reminiscent of the infinite void of space. Here, where you'd least expect to find life, a strange sound pierces the silence. A quacking noise, as if some colossal unseen duck lurks in the abyss. In 1960, researchers first documented this bizarre sound, christening it bioduck. A rather whimsical name, considering the mystery it shrouded. For decades, the source of this peculiar noise remained elusive. Was it a giant kraken, a legendary sea monster of immense proportions? Perhaps an extraterrestrial spacecraft downed in the ocean depths? Or, as the name suggested, a gigantic undiscovered species of duck? Theories abounded, each more outlandish than the last. Intriguingly, oceanographers detected similar sounds in other corners of the globe. Off the western coast of Australia and near New Zealand, they recorded signals with a higher pitch, dubbed biogoose. These were not isolated incidents. The sounds recurred at consistent intervals. Initially, many suspected a mechanical origin, given the regularity of the signals. However, exploring the oceans in the latter half of the 20th century presented formidable challenges due to technological limitations. Nevertheless, scientists persevered, driven by their relentless curiosity, meticulously gathering data on bioduck and biogoose. As the data accumulated, so did the hypotheses. Finally, the mystery began to unravel. Bioduck, it turned out, was a form of communication with a biological source. Analyzing the repeating sounds, researchers discovered that the signals never overlapped. One source spoke while the others remained silent, strongly suggesting a complex form of communication. But which creature possessed such an extraordinary method, using varied frequency sounds? The answer, as many had suspected, was whales. Specifically, scientists compared the bioduck sound from Antarctica with the calls of minke whales, Balanoptera acuterostrata, and found striking similarities. The biogoose sounds from the waters off Australia and New Zealand likely originated from other whale species, or perhaps very young minke whales. However, this discovery only deepened the enigma. What was the purpose of these sounds? Were the whales discussing their next meal, perhaps chuckling at the human observers, recording their vocalizations, or even exchanging profound insights about the universe. The possibilities seemed endless, but perhaps the most astonishing revelation was the possibility that humans might one day learn to communicate with these magnificent creatures. This is no longer just a fantasy. Scientists at the University of California have already made contact with a humpback whale, Megaptera novaeanglii, named Twain. In a groundbreaking experiment, researchers engaged in a 20-minute conversation with the marine mammal. The team embarked on a marine expedition to the coast of Alaska, where they recorded the sounds of a group of humpback whales. They then played these recordings through speakers, sending the signals back into the ocean. The recorded sounds resembled a greeting, a whale equivalent of, "Hey, what's up?" These calls are used by whales to locate each other or signal their position. Soon after transmitting the signals, the researchers received a response. Twain approached the boat, circled it, and replied with a greeting of its own. This marked the beginning of the first ever documented human-whale conversation. For 20 minutes, the scientists sent 36 signals to Twain, and each time, the whale responded. Moreover, it seemed to observe proper conversational etiquette, waiting for specific time intervals before answering. The team would send a signal, wait 10 seconds, and then Twain would respond. It seems that Twain was a particularly courteous interlocutor, perhaps a gentleman of the whale world, or simply intrigued by this unusual exchange. The signals used in this communication likely belonged to Twain's own pod. The researchers may have recorded Twain's sounds and used them to communicate with it. In a sense, Twain was conversing with itself. Now, let's continue our journey. Venturing into the deepest oceanic trench on Earth, the Mariana Trench. This colossal chasm in the ocean floor stretches over 1,500 miles south of Japan, reaching a staggering depth of nearly 36,000 feet at its deepest point. To put that into perspective, the height of the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building, is only about 1/10 of the Mariana Trench's immense depth. Now, imagine this. In this deep, dark abyss, scientists recorded Imagine the vast, unexplored depths of our oceans, concealing secrets that defy explanation. Let's plunge into a realm of sonic mysteries, where strange and unsettling sounds echo through the abyss. Forget the familiar calls of dolphins or the haunting songs of humpback whales. This is something different. Something strange. It began with a sound dubbed the biotwang. Unlike anything heard before, it resembled a bizarre symphony from a science fiction film. A deep, resonant rumble, punctuated by metallic pings, evoking images of futuristic spaceships gliding through the cosmos. In 2014, during an acoustic survey of the Mariana Trench, scientists first encountered this perplexing phenomenon. The source? Initially unknown, but the mystery wouldn't last forever. After countless hours of analysis, aided by artificial intelligence sifting through nearly 200,000 hours of underwater audio, the source was identified. Bride's whales, Balanoptera idani. Like countless creatures across the planet, these colossal marine mammals communicate through sound, their voices carrying across vast distances. But the Mariana Trench holds more than just natural wonders. It also holds the less welcome marks of humanity. Did you know that a plastic bottle was found at the bottom of the Mariana Trench? No kraken or mythical sea monster deposited it there. Its presence is a stark reminder of human impact, a topic for another time. Now, let's journey to another enigmatic location, a place of profound solitude on our planet. Prepare to be unnerved by a sound emanating from the loneliest spot on Earth, Point Nemo. Situated in the South Pacific Ocean, Point Nemo is the furthest point from any landmass. The nearest island lies a staggering 1,450 nautical miles away. This aquatic isolation is compounded by a scarcity of marine life, as few nutrient-rich currents reach this desolate expanse, rendering it a veritable water desert. In 1997, oceanographers detected an unnerving sound resonating from the depths near Point Nemo. It was immense, powerful, and utterly alien. They called it the bloop. The media seized upon this anomaly, and wild speculation spread like wildfire. giant sea monsters, krakens rising from the abyss. The theories were as boundless as the ocean itself. However, the truth, as often happens, proved less sensational. Scientists eventually traced the bloop's origin to a far more mundane source: icebergs. When these colossal structures crack and fracture, they unleash powerful, ultra-low frequency sounds capable of traveling vast distances. Recordings of other iceberg calving events revealed similar acoustic signatures, confirming the explanation. And consider this: Point Nemo's remoteness makes it the perfect satellite cemetery. Space agencies intentionally guide decommissioned satellites to splash down here, ensuring that falling debris poses minimal risk to life. But what if, one day, a spacecraft from another world were to plummet into these waters? What if such a vessel already lies dormant in the depths, occasionally emitting a cryptic distress signal that pierces the ocean's silence? While these mysteries have been largely unraveled, one enigma persists, continuing to baffle researchers: upsweep. This is not just any noise. It's a series of distinct, sharp, ascending tones, repeated at intervals of several seconds. First detected in 1991 using hydrophones strategically placed across the Pacific Ocean, upsweep initially sparked theories linking it to volcanic activity or underwater earthquakes. However, the sound's seasonal nature, fluctuating in intensity with the changing times of the year, cast doubt on these explanations. Attention turned to the biological realm. Could upsweep be associated with marine life? Researchers investigated migration patterns and the behaviors of various species throughout the year. Yet, despite exhaustive efforts, the source of upsweep remains elusive. Some speculate that it may originate from a specific species of fish or other marine animal, using the sounds for communication or navigation. But definitive proof remains tantalizingly out of reach. Finally, consider a strange anomaly in Antarctica. Some believed it to be a vacation home for Bigfoot, a hidden shuttlecraft from Star Trek, or even a portal to Agartha, the mythical kingdom at the Earth's core. However, scientists offered a more prosaic explanation. The doorway is located in an area of fast sea ice, offshore of the coast, dotted with small islands surrounded by shallow water. As the ice flows around submerged rocks, it creates unusual patterns. The ice in this area is thin, amplifying the effect of the rocks beneath. The relentless Antarctic winds further sculpt the ice, creating formations that may appear extraordinary, but are ultimately natural. Imagine a world of endless white, a landscape sculpted by wind and ice. Antarctica. Here, the forces of nature play tricks on the eye, creating illusions that spark the imagination. A mysterious doorway, etched into the ice. But is it truly a doorway to some forgotten world? What appears to be a portal is, in reality, a rocky ridge, stubbornly resisting the relentless freeze. The doorway is merely an optical illusion, the peak of the rock exposed by a slight thaw, the sides defined by snowy trails carved by the unyielding Antarctic winds, all working in harmony. It is essentially a massive iceberg, grounded and slowly surrendering to the elements. Then there was the supposed ice ship, discovered by an eagle-eyed YouTuber, lying more than 150 meters from the shore. This colossal structure, estimated to be 400 feet long, ignited a frenzy of speculation online. Could it be a vessel mysteriously transported from the infamous Bermuda Triangle? Alas, the truth, as it often does, proved far less sensational. There was no concrete evidence to suggest it was a ship, just an unusually shaped chunk of ice. And as the Antarctic summer advanced, the illusion vanished altogether, melting away to reveal nothing more than frozen water. The allure of the unknown continues to draw us in. Another intriguing find on Google Maps revealed what appeared to be a pyramid rising from the icy plains. Visions of ancient Egyptians establishing a secret Antarctic base danced in our heads. But this pyramid, too, was a product of nature's artistry. Simply a mountain. It forms part of Antarctica's vast mountain range, stretching for almost 250 miles. This isn't the first time explorers have encountered pyramid-like formations on this continent. During the British Antarctic expedition, another unusually shaped mountain earned the nickname the Pyramid, though it lacked any true pyramidal form. But not all Antarctic discoveries are illusions. Prepare to be amazed by a genuine wonder, a colossal ice shelf that evokes the grandeur of the Grand Canyon. A specialized submarine robot, christened RAN, journeyed over 600 miles beneath the thick ice, transmitting breathtaking images of icy mountains, valleys, vast plateaus, and mesmerizing swirling patterns, all crafted from ice. Among RAN's most peculiar finds were enormous ball-shaped holes, or scoops, carved into the ice. Sadly, the intrepid robot met an unfortunate fate. Scientists suspect that curious Weddell seals, playful denizens of the icy depths, may have inadvertently collided with RAN, causing it to become trapped. To conserve power, RAN likely initiated an emergency shutdown, and subsequent search efforts proved fruitless. However, the team remains optimistic, planning to construct a new robot to resume exploring this frozen canyon and monitor the evolving patterns beneath the ice. Another colossal Antarctic canyon came to light thanks to an unexpected stroke of luck: bad weather. A team of acoustics experts, temporarily sidelined by a storm at the Casey Research Station, seized the opportunity to map the seafloor near Adams Glacier. Their efforts revealed a canyon of staggering dimensions, almost 7,000 feet deep, nearly 30,000 feet wide, and extending over 28 miles from the glacier's edge. Initial mapping efforts captured only a portion of the canyon before the storm forced a return to the research station. But when inclement weather returned, the ship ventured back, braving waves up to 13 feet high and ferocious winds to gather an additional 15 hours of data, completing the map. On their return voyage to Australia, the team made one final stop, securing a comprehensive view of the canyon. Studying this geological marvel promises to unlock secrets about the history of glaciers and the complex interplay between the Antarctic ice sheet and the surrounding ocean. Deep within Antarctica lies Lake Enigma, a body of water that long defied understanding. For years, it was believed to be entirely frozen. However, during an expedition, researchers discovered a hidden layer of liquid water beneath the thick ice, reaching depths of around 40 feet. Eager to explore this subterranean world, they drilled through the ice and deployed a camera, revealing a realm teeming with strange microbial life. This water, believed to originate from the nearby Amorphous Glacier via a hidden underground conduit, supported a diverse ecosystem of microscopic organisms. These microbes formed mats that carpeted the lakebed, some thin and spiky, others resembling crumpled carpets or even miniature tree-like structures, reaching up to 16 inches in height. Many of these microbes, like plants, harness the power of photosynthesis to produce their own food, resulting in high oxygen levels within the lake. One particularly intriguing discovery was a microbe typically found in low-oxygen environments. Lake Enigma's unique conditions may mirror those found on icy moons like Europa or Enceladus, suggesting the possibility of hidden water and microbial life on these celestial bodies as well. Finally, consider another astounding Antarctic discovery: minuscule fragments of amber embedded within mudstone, marking the first time this precious substance has been found on the continent. It took years of meticulous study, focusing on exceptionally well-preserved fossilized roots, pollen, and spores unearthed in 2017, to confirm the presence of amber. This amber serves as undeniable proof that resin-producing trees once flourished in Antarctica, a testament to a vastly different, warmer past. Let's journey back millions of years to the mid-Cretaceous period. Imagine a vibrant, lush rainforest thriving near the South Pole. It's a world almost impossible to fathom today. Of course, no one was around back then to witness it firsthand, but the evidence tells an incredible story. These trees, unlike anything we know today, had to endure months of complete darkness during the long Antarctic winters. Picture them, standing tall and resilient, somehow surviving in perpetual twilight. Scientists believe they adapted by entering a state of deep dormancy, a kind of long, extended sleep, to weather the harsh conditions. The evidence of this ancient world comes in the form of amber. Tiny pieces, yet holding within them the secrets of a lost era. These fragments boast beautiful shades of yellow and orange, their bumpy surfaces revealing how the resin flowed from the trees like tears. This resin, a sticky, viscous substance, likely served as a defense mechanism, protecting the trees from swarms of relentless insects. Its preservation is a testament to the rapid burial it underwent, quickly submerged in water, shielded from the destructive forces of sunlight and air. In a more recent discovery, scientists, while meticulously examining satellite images for the telltale brown trails of penguin waste, stumbled upon something extraordinary. 4 new colonies of emperor penguins at the bottom of the globe. These aren't new arrivals. These colonies have likely existed for years, hidden from view. While 3 of them are relatively small, numbering fewer than 1,000 breeding penguins each, their very existence offers hope. One colony was located near the Lazarov ice shelf, a place that once hosted a larger penguin community. It was believed that this original colony had vanished in 2019, but it appears the penguins simply relocated due to the ever-changing sea ice conditions. By studying these resilient creatures, we can gain invaluable insights into how emperor penguins adapt to the relentless changes in their environment. Now, let's delve even deeper into Antarctica's past. Picture this. 40 million years ago, a colossal river system carved its way across the continent. Researchers unearthed proof of its existence by analyzing soft sediments and hard rocks extracted from the frozen seabed. By examining minute traces of radioactive elements such as uranium and lead, they determined that the deeper layers of sediment originated from the age of dinosaurs. Imagine that, sediment from the time of Tyrannosaurus rex, and Triceratops, Triceratops horridus, lying beneath the ice. The sediment closer to the surface, being younger, displayed a distinct pattern, strikingly similar to the deltas we see today in rivers like the Mississippi or the Rio Grande. Even more astonishing, scientists discovered microscopic signs of life within the sand, remnants of a thriving ecosystem that once flourished in this now frozen land. This ancient river, originating in the Transantarctic Mountains, flowed for an incredible 930 miles before emptying into the sea. Researchers continue to study the more recent layers of sediment, dating back approximately 20 million years, hoping to unlock clues that will help us predict future weather patterns on Earth. And then there's Lake Enigma. The name itself hints at the mysteries it holds. Its very existence defies expectations, but the discovery of life deep beneath its icy surface is nothing short of astounding. This discovery could even aid NASA in their search for life beyond our planet. This lake is buried deep within the icy heart of Antarctica. It's not a typical pool of water. It's more like a block of ice. Or at least that's what we thought. Recently, Italian scientists uncovered a secret hidden for eons, a genuine body of water. And within this water, life teems. Microorganisms thrive, and even some peculiar little hunters dwell in its depths. This is remarkable, considering Enigma's location in a remote and unforgiving corner of the planet, the northern Victoria Land in Antarctica. The entire South Pole is synonymous with cold, but this region is particularly brutal. Temperatures can plummet to a bone-chilling 41 degrees, although the average temperature hovers around a balmy 7 degrees. As mentioned, this lake shouldn't exist at all. Antarctica is technically the largest desert on Earth, despite its snow-covered landscape, due to its extreme dryness. Rainfall is non-existent, snowfall is minimal, and the sun's evaporation power is negligible. Even if water were present, the relentless winds would quickly evaporate it. Logic dictates that this lake should lose an unimaginable 7 million cubic feet of water annually. Yet, the water persists. The question is, why? Scientists speculate that an underground source constantly replenishes the lake, but the nature of this source remains a mystery. Perhaps it's a network of deep underground rivers, melting ice, or something entirely unknown. Hence, the fitting name, Lake Enigma. The thick layer of ice that perpetually covers the lake is truly impressive. It measures at least 36 feet thick, towering higher than a 3-story building. Intrigued, researchers decided to investigate what lay beneath this icy shield. They employed a ground-penetrating radar, a sophisticated echo detector designed for probing the Earth. This radar emits invisible radio waves into the ground. When these waves encounter underground objects, such as rocks, water, or other materials, they bounce back to the device. By measuring the time it takes for the signal to return and analyzing its strength, scientists can determine the distance and composition of the object. This is similar to how bats, whales, and dolphins navigate underwater using echolocation. Humans have adapted this ingenious natural technique to explore hidden caves and buried structures. Scientists systematically scan the surface of Lake Enigma with this device, creating a comprehensive map of the hidden world beneath the ice, the water. The discovery itself wasn't the real shock. What truly astonished researchers was the unique ecosystem they found within. No colossal, undiscovered monsters or alien secrets this time, unfortunately. But lurking in the depths were microorganisms unlike any seen elsewhere on Earth. Imagine, these minuscule creatures had somehow carved out an existence in complete isolation, battling extreme cold for eons. It's not that these types of microorganisms were completely unknown. We've encountered their relatives before, just never in quite this form. A few distinct groups have managed to make this frozen realm their home. First, we find the bacteroidetes. These are the workhorses of the microscopic world, excelling at breaking down complex molecules. You'll often find them hard at work in digestive systems, including our own, helping to process tough plant fibers. While they thrive inside us, they can also be found in soils and oceans. Then come the actinobacteriota, the genius chemists of the bacterial world. They are masters of decomposition, breaking down organic materials and enriching the soil. Critically, they are also famed for producing antibiotics, so we owe a great debt to them for many of our medicines. The third group, the Pseudomonodota, wasn't such a surprise. These are the ultimate adapters. They possess the remarkable ability to thrive in almost any environment, from soil and water to the human body. Some are beneficial, aiding plant growth and nutrient cycling. However, others can be opportunistic pathogens, the bad guys of the microscopic world. But the real surprise was the abundance of passive bacteria within Lake Enigma. These are ultra-small, even by microorganism standards, and possess limited capabilities on their own. As such, they typically exist in symbiotic relationships or as tiny parasites, relying on hosts for nutrients and other necessities. These microscopic chompers might be incredibly ancient, perhaps remnants of a time before the lake was completely sealed off by ice, hundreds of thousands of years ago. It's undeniably strange to encounter these bacteria, especially the parasitic varieties, in Lake Enigma. Typically, Pterosaur bacteria flourish in oxygen-rich environments, yet this lake is exceptionally oxygenated, not to mention the almost 40 feet of solid ice looming above. All of this suggests that while we recognize these general types of bacteria, these specific species may be entirely new to science. They could have evolved unique adaptations and abilities, exploiting the lake's unusual chemistry. They likely depend on a remarkably simple and fragile food web. Some microorganisms generate energy from light, whatever light penetrates the ice, or from the lake's chemical composition. The symbiotic organisms likely survive by living on or within their neighbors. Even in a place like this, microscopic creatures hunt each other. Peace is elusive, even in the most isolated environments. Unlocking their secrets to survival could revolutionize our understanding of chemistry, medicine, and even the potential for extraterrestrial life. If life can endure such extreme conditions on Earth, it can likely emerge in many other places, including our celestial neighbors like Europa and Enceladus, the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. These moons are believed to harbor vast oceans beneath their icy shells, and there's now a compelling possibility that they may also harbor life. Antarctica represents the closest we can get to extraterrestrial exploration without venturing to other planets. It's a land brimming with hidden mysteries and surprising life forms. Even beyond Lake Enigma, the South Pole teems with life. Consider the McMurdo Dry Valleys, often called Earth's Mars. These are among the most extreme and enigmatic locations on our planet. Stretching across Victoria Land in Antarctica, they represent one of the driest places on Earth. Unlike most of the South Pole, this region is almost entirely free of snow and ice, revealing vast expanses of frigid ground. Here and there, windswept sand dunes nestle between the rugged mountains. The ground is largely covered in loose gravel, interspersed with ancient rocks composed of granite and something called gneiss, pronounced nice. Gneiss is a type of rock that has endured intense transformations. It forms when granite and sedimentary rocks are subjected to immense pressure or extreme heat over long periods, a process known as metamorphism. These conditions are so extreme that they literally rearrange the minerals into layers, giving gneiss its distinctive foliated appearance. It's like the planet's way of baking a layered cake. Astonishingly, this place remains almost exactly as it was millions of years ago. These valleys are frozen in time, offering a glimpse into Earth's distant past, including the life that once thrived here. The local winds are absolutely terrifying, powerful gusts of frigid air racing downhill and evaporating snow faster than it can melt. Logically, one might expect to find little water here. Imagine a world of frozen lakes and seemingly lifeless landscapes. Yet, even here, in the seemingly barren expanse of Antarctica's dry valleys, life finds a way. Against all odds, microscopic organisms cling to existence, defying our very understanding of biology. Here, within the rocks themselves, a hidden world thrives. Microorganisms seek refuge in the tiniest, slightly moist cracks and crevices. Deep inside these rocky havens live endolithic bacteria, the ultimate chill survivors. Unlike their more mobile counterparts, these bacteria are homebodies, forever rooted within their stony dwellings. Their secret to survival? Photosynthesis. Just like plants, they harness the meager light that penetrates the crevices, acting as miniature solar panels, converting sunlight into energy. Now, picture another scene beneath the Taylor Glacier. Here, we find bacteria with an even more astonishing lifestyle. Organisms that seemingly eat nothing at all. No comfort, no sunlight, not even oxygen sustains them. Instead, these bizarre microbes thrive on a diet of dusty rocks and sulfur, fueling their strange metabolisms. By breaking down sulfur and iron compounds, they extract the energy needed to survive. This allows them to flourish in the deep, sub-freezing waters, completely isolated from sunlight, oxygen, and the world above. This remote continent is a paradox, fascinating for both its life and its apparent lack thereof. In certain areas, such as University Valley, the permafrost is so unforgiving that scientists have found no traces of microbial life whatsoever. This may be one of the few places on Earth where life seems to be entirely absent. A rather unsettling thought. But this very desolation holds a key to the future. Scientists are now intensely interested in exploring Lake Enigma, drilling into this Mars-like environment to understand how we might one day collect samples on the red planet. The extreme conditions here provide a unique analog for the challenges of searching for life beyond Earth. Believe it or not, Antarctica is becoming a tourist destination. In the summer of 2022 and 2023 alone, over 100,000 people journeyed to this extreme continent. That's right, the highest, driest, windiest, and arguably most dangerous continent on Earth is now a vacation spot. The number of tourists continues to rise, drawn by the allure of this otherworldly landscape. Most visitors arrive on cruise ships, exploring the relatively temperate and wildlife-rich Antarctic Peninsula. They often disembark in places like Feldis Bay, where they can board inflatable boats for breathtaking views of icebergs, humpback whales, penguins, and even orcas. Adventurous souls can kayak through the icy waters or take a helicopter tour to witness the vast, white wilderness from above. For those seeking an even greater thrill, a more extreme form of tourism is emerging: skydiving. But be warned, this is not for the faint of heart. Free-falling into the majestic expanse of the seventh continent is an experience of a lifetime, but only a select few will ever have the opportunity. Even the companies that offer this adventure emphasize that it is reserved for only the most experienced skydivers. The reality is that even for seasoned professionals, what should be an incredible experience can quickly turn tragic. This was the harsh lesson learned by a group of 6 men in December 1997. In a mere 30 seconds, their thrilling jump transformed into a desperate fight for survival. The group consisted of 3 Americans, 2 Norwegians, and an Austrian, all highly skilled skydivers. One was a former Air Force captain with over 750 jumps under his belt. For these individuals, skydiving in Antarctica likely seemed like a relaxing hobby, or perhaps a chance to taste the ultimate freedom. The initial stages of their adventure went smoothly. They spent 4 days in Chile, awaiting clear weather at Patriot Hills, the base camp in Antarctica. While they waited at the hotel, anticipation grew. The American and Austrian skydivers hoped to achieve a unique record. Since they weren't the first to jump over the South Pole, they devised a new challenge. One of them suggested attempting relative work, forming a 4-way formation in the sky, the kind where skydivers link arms and legs in midair. Everyone agreed. If successful, they would set a world record. Unfortunately, fate had other plans. On December 3rd, they finally flew to Antarctica and settled into Patriot Hills Camp, where brightly colored tents stood out against the backdrop of the Ellsworth Mountains. It was summer, so the temperatures were relatively mild, hovering around 14 temperature, 10 Celsius. Despite not knowing each other well initially, the group quickly formed a strong bond, united by their shared passion for skydiving and the thrill of this extraordinary adventure. While awaiting their flight, they donned their suits and meticulously checked. Imagine a scene of daring ambition, a group of seasoned skydivers poised to etch their names in history above the desolate expanse of Antarctica. But this isn't your typical skydiving venture. This is a high-stakes gamble against the unforgiving elements of the South Pole. The team had meticulously planned every detail, poring over maps and scrutinizing each other's equipment, not once, but 4 times. Finally, the moment arrived. They boarded the aircraft, anticipation hanging heavy in the air. As they ascended to 8,000 feet above the polar landscape, the biting cold began to seep into their bones. Some of them reached for oxygen masks. Now, normally, seasoned skydivers wouldn't require supplemental oxygen at this altitude. But this was Antarctica, a land that defies normalcy. The continent itself sits at an average elevation of over 9,000 feet above sea level. This meant they were now soaring at a staggering 17,000 feet, where the air is perilously thin. The risk of oxygen deprivation loomed large, threatening to cloud their judgment, blur their vision, and slow their reaction times. The thin air presented another insidious challenge: reduced air resistance. They would plummet faster, leaving them with precious little time to maneuver. Yet, caught in the throes of adrenaline and excitement, they seemed oblivious to the looming dangers of skydiving in Antarctica. There was no turning back now. At the designated exit point, they leapt into the void, hurtling through the frigid, rarefied air at an estimated 200 miles per hour. During their freefall, they likely faced temperatures plummeting to a bone-chilling 100-degree Celsius. They were on the cusp of breaking a world record, attempting to form a complex shape in the sky, linking hands and feet in perfect synchronicity. But something was amiss. One of the Americans, Michael Carnes, began to feel disoriented, robbed of his sense of spatial awareness. Unlike jumping over a familiar cityscape where trees or buildings provide a clear sense of orientation, Antarctica offered no such reference points. It was an endless expanse of white, stretching for thousands of miles. The sunlight, the snow, and the ice all merged into a blinding, homogeneous landscape. Carnes, his instincts screaming danger, quickly checked his gear. He realized with growing horror that he was already far too low, likely only around 1,000 feet above the ground. This was dangerously close to the ground to still have an unopened parachute. The record attempt was instantly abandoned. Now it was a desperate fight for survival. He broke away from the formation, frantically reaching for the ripcord on his reserve parachute. But an automatic opening device had already deployed his parachute, likely around 600 feet. There was no time for a safe, controlled landing. He tucked his legs and knees in, flipped over, and braced for impact, crashing face first into the unforgiving snow. Then, silence. Carnes, dazed and disoriented, frantically searched for his friends. The 2 Norwegian skydivers had managed to land safely, but tragically, The other 3 men had not survived the fall. 2 of them had never even deployed their parachutes. To this day, the precise cause of the tragedy remains shrouded in mystery. But the oxygen bottle on board the plane may hold a crucial clue. The 3 skydivers who had used supplemental oxygen during the flight had survived, while the 3 who hadn't perished. As mentioned earlier, a lack of oxygen can wreak havoc on the brain. It can induce euphoria and a false sense of security. Hypoxia is a silent killer, often striking before its victims realize the danger. During the freefall, Carnes had desperately tried to warn his colleagues that something was wrong, waving his arms in a frantic attempt to alert them, but they simply smiled back, seemingly oblivious to the impending disaster. It was like dancing on the deck of the Titanic as the ship plunged into the icy depths instead of scrambling for a lifeboat. They probably thought they had more time. Were they blinded by the adrenaline rush? Or were they already succumbing to the insidious effects of hypoxia? These are questions that will likely remain unanswered, but it seems clear that the lack of oxygen robbed them of their awareness of altitude. The extreme cold further compounded the danger, as harsh weather conditions can severely impair decision-making. At their jump altitude, the temperature hovered around a frigid 44°, and the wind chill from their velocity could have made it feel as cold as 200 degrees. Despite this tragic tale, not all adventure stories in Antarctica end in despair. In 2018, Heather Swan etched her name in the annals of aviation history as the first woman to fly in a wingsuit over the icy mountains of Antarctica. With her husband by her side, she braved the bone-chilling cold and summoned every ounce of courage before leaping from 12,000 feet. They soared above Union Glacier, a campsite nestled in Ellsworth Land, reaching breathtaking speeds of 112 miles per hour. But it's crucial to remember that feats like this are the exclusive domain of highly experienced professionals. In Swan's case, it took 18 years of rigorous training to prepare for a wingsuit flight in Antarctica. Now, if you've followed this story thus far, you might be convinced that skydiving in Antarctica is not the wisest of endeavors. But what about simply visiting as a tourist? That's a subject of considerable debate. Those who have experienced its raw beauty describe it as indescribable. Some say there's something profoundly restorative about being in such a remote, untouched place. It's like stepping onto another planet, yet remaining firmly grounded on Earth. At the same time, many of those who have ventured there are now among the most vocal advocates for its protection. They suggest that we admire Antarctica from afar, recognizing that a massive influx of tourists could irrevocably damage its fragile ecosystem. In 2023, the sea ice cover plummeted for 6 consecutive months. Forget those vacation brochures. Cross Antarctica off your travel list. This isn't a place for a casual visit. It's a land of hidden fire, a continent resting precariously above a sleeping giant. Beneath the miles-thick ice of Antarctica lies the largest volcanic region on our planet, dwarfing even those in Africa or Japan. Imagine 138 volcanoes discovered slumbering beneath the western part of the continent. Should these behemoths awaken simultaneously, the consequences would be catastrophic. Vast quantities of ice would melt, surging into the ocean, causing sea levels to rise dramatically and rendering coastal regions uninhabitable. But before you start packing for Mars, take a breath. Only 2 of Antarctica's volcanoes are currently classified as active. Furthermore, it would require a sustained period of eruptions, decade after decade, to truly destabilize the global climate. Mount Erebus, a towering peak of fire and ice, holds the distinction of being the world's southernmost active volcano. Since at least 1972, Erebus has been in a constant state of eruption, a fiery belch in the frozen wastes. It continuously emits plumes of gas and steam, occasionally spewing out molten rock in what scientists call strombolian eruptions. Perhaps its most remarkable feature is a lava lake simmering within one of its summit craters, a crucible of molten material defying the frigid environment. Such lava lakes are rare, requiring a delicate balance of conditions to prevent the surface from freezing solid. The second active volcano is Deception Island, a horseshoe-shaped landmass that is actually the caldera of an active volcano. Its last eruption occurred over 50 years ago, and current monitoring suggests it won't erupt again anytime soon. Antarctica is also riddled with fumaroles, volcanic vents that release gases and vapors into the atmosphere. Under the right conditions, these fumaroles can build fumarolic ice towers, reaching up to 10 feet in height, bizarre sculptures crafted by geothermal activity. Scientists maintain a watchful eye on Antarctica's volcanoes, employing seismometers to detect the subtle tremors that signal impending volcanic activity. They sometimes employ more advanced technologies, but the remoteness and harsh conditions of the polar region make monitoring an immense challenge. As a result, predicting when one of the continent's sleeping giants might awaken remains an inexact science. However, we can glean insights into potential future events by studying the geological record, specifically events from nearly 20,000 years ago. Let's journey back in time. Mount Takahe, another of Antarctica's dormant volcanoes, experienced a series of eruptions, releasing significant quantities of halogen-rich substances into the atmosphere. Some scientists believe that these eruptions contributed to warming in the southern hemisphere, accelerating glacial melt and helping to bring the last ice age to a close. For such events to repeat, we would need a series of eruptions releasing halogen-rich substances from one or more volcanoes currently situated above the ice. While unlikely, the fact that it occurred in the past means it cannot be dismissed as impossible. Volcanoes concealed beneath the thick ice sheets pose a different kind of threat. While their gases might struggle to reach the atmosphere, they possess the power to melt vast caverns at the base of the ice, generating substantial volumes of meltwater. The West Antarctic ice sheet is already wet at its base, not frozen to the bedrock. This meltwater would act as a lubricant, accelerating the movement of the overlying ice towards the ocean. The volume of water generated by even a large subglacial volcano is insignificant compared to the sheer mass of ice above it. A single eruption would likely have a negligible impact. However, multiple volcanoes erupting near or beneath any of West Antarctica's major ice streams could have far-reaching consequences. These ice streams are essentially rivers of ice, channeling the majority of Antarctica's frozen water into the ocean. If their speed increases, delivering unusual amounts of water into the ocean, global sea levels will inevitably rise. As the ice sheet thins, volcanic activity could further increase, creating a runaway effect. A similar phenomenon occurred in Iceland, where volcanic activity surged as glaciers retreated at the end of the last ice age. It appears that for massive global-scale changes to occur, several powerful volcanoes above the ice, emitting gases rich in halogens, would need to erupt within a few decades of each other and maintain their activity for decades or even centuries. Antarctica holds approximately 80% of the world's fresh water. If all of that ice were to melt, global sea levels would rise by nearly 200 feet. A catastrophic scenario that would necessitate a mass exodus to higher ground, or perhaps even another planet. But again, this is a highly improbable outcome. A more likely scenario involves subglacial eruptions, lubricating ice streams and gradually increasing the flow of water into the ocean. This would certainly have an impact, but it wouldn't spell the end of the world. However, a supervolcano, a truly monstrous eruption, could indeed trigger a global catastrophe. And such events have occurred in the deep past. Over 200 million years ago, the world underwent a period of profound upheaval. Let's journey back to a pivotal moment in Earth's history, a time of immense geological upheaval. Imagine a world undergoing a dramatic transformation, sculpted by the raw power of nature. We're talking about a period marked not by one or two, but by 4 colossal volcanic eruptions. Picture this: the supervolcano, known as the Camp Volcano, relentlessly belching forth its fury for an astounding 600,000 years. This cataclysm unfolded in Reingelia, a sprawling landmass dominated by a supermassive volcano. This region stretched across what we now know as British Columbia and Alaska. But it wasn't merely the rivers of molten lava or the suffocating blankets of volcanic ash that devastated the prehistoric environment. The true culprit was the staggering surge in carbon levels triggered by these eruptions. The planet's atmosphere was irrevocably altered. These very volcanic events, seemingly destructive, might paradoxically have played a role in the dinosaurs' evolution. Imagine these creatures, initially no larger than house cats, eventually morphing into the colossal giants that roamed the Jurassic period, creatures like the mighty Brachiosaurus, Brachiosaurus altithorax, or the armored Stegosaurus, Stegosaurus stenopus. The volcanic activity initiated a relentless rainy season that lasted for 2 million years. The entire globe became a sweltering, humid greenhouse, and the dinosaurs thrived. Paleontologists painstakingly pieced together this ancient puzzle by delving deep into the layers of sediment beneath an ancient lake in Asia. Here, they unearthed telltale signs of those epic eruptions, traces of volcanic ash, and the unmistakable signature of mercury. Even more compelling were the carbon signatures, revealing enormous spikes in carbon dioxide levels. The atmosphere became superheated, and torrential rain became the norm. Now, the sobering news. A similar eruption could occur again. The supervolcano slumbering beneath Yellowstone National Park has been dormant for nearly 70,000 years. But if it were to awaken, the consequences would dwarf even the cataclysmic eruption of Mount St. Helens in 1980. That event, considered the most devastating volcanic eruption in U.S. history, was triggered by months of earthquakes and the injection of magma beneath the volcano. This weakened and ultimately obliterated the entire north face of the mountain. The eruption column soared 80,000 feet into the atmosphere, blanketing 11 U.S. states and several Canadian provinces in ash. But consider this: the last Yellowstone eruption was 1,000 times greater in magnitude. The landscape above Yellowstone sits precariously atop a hotspot of molten and semi-molten rock, magma. This seething mass flows into a chamber beneath the park, roughly 4 to 6 miles below the surface, causing the ground to inflate like a gigantic balloon. As the magma cools, the ground slowly deflates, returning to its normal state. Dedicated volcano watchers have been monitoring this activity for a century. They observed the ground rising approximately 10 inches around 20 years ago, but since 2010, it has been gradually subsiding. Experts assure us that no imminent major eruptions are on the horizon, so the apocalypse isn't upon us just yet. However, the persistent underground activity keeps scientists keenly interested. Since humans weren't present to record every nuance of Yellowstone's behavior throughout its history, predicting its future with certainty remains a challenge. Yellowstone has experienced several truly epic eruptions over the past couple of million years. These events have occurred with a certain regularity, separated by intervals of 600,000 to 800,000 years. The most recent major eruption took place approximately 640,000 years ago, fundamentally reshaping the landscape and scattering ash and debris as far as Louisiana. Even today, the Yellowstone caldera bears witness to the aftermath of that colossal event. Experts suggest that another eruption on that scale is unlikely. A more probable scenario involves eruptions of steam and hot water, or perhaps lava flows. Precisely when and with what force Yellowstone will awaken remains an enigma, a question mark that continues to fuel scientific inquiry. Imagine the possibilities, the potential for both destruction and the creation of new geological wonders. Imagine a network of research outposts scattered across the vast, icy expanse of Antarctica. These aren't just simple weather stations. They're complex scientific hubs, dedicated to protecting the unique wildlife and ensuring the survival of the people who call this frozen continent home. But what fuels these operations? Where do the colossal sums of money allocated to Antarctic research actually go? The answer lies in the fact that these stations are, in essence, miniature cities carved into the ice. They require everything a normal city needs: a constant supply of electricity, sophisticated heating systems to combat the brutal cold, advanced water purification facilities to provide drinkable water, massive food storage capabilities to withstand long winters, and fully equipped medical centers to handle any emergency. Consider McMurdo Station, the largest of these Antarctic settlements. During the summer months, it swells to a population of over 1,000 people, a bustling town complete with a fire department, a well-equipped gymnasium, and all the other amenities of modern life. Then there's the South Pole Station, perched deep inland, making it one of the most logistically challenging places on Earth to supply. Every ounce of food, every gallon of fuel, must be transported by specialized aircraft braving thousands of miles of treacherous, frigid skies. The internet, of course, loves a good enigma. So, when Google Maps unveiled what appeared to be a gigantic doorway embedded in the Antarctic landscape, the conspiracy theories erupted like a volcanic explosion. Was it Bigfoot's secret vacation retreat, a clandestine military installation hidden beneath the ice? Or perhaps even a colossal hangar for a Star Trek spaceship buried for centuries? The truth, however, is far less sensational. What appeared to be a doorway was, in reality, a grounded iceberg. A massive chunk of ice, dislodged from a glacier, had become lodged in shallow waters and was slowly succumbing to the elements. As ice grinds across the jagged terrain, it's forced to navigate around obstacles, creating bizarre and unexpected shapes. The constant cycle of melting, fracturing, and refreezing further sculpts the ice into fantastical forms. And let's not forget the incredibly powerful katabatic winds that relentlessly blast across Antarctica, carving the ice into dramatic formations over countless years. So, alas, no secret doorway, no hidden base, just the relentless power of nature at work. Speaking of gateways, for decades, Argentina has proudly proclaimed itself the gateway to Antarctica, the final staging post before venturing onto the icy continent, the place where expeditions traditionally began. But there's a challenger to this claim. Punta Arenas, Chile. Let's examine the facts. Ushuaia, Argentina, is undeniably closer to Antarctica, a popular departure point for tourists embarking on Antarctic cruises. However, it lacks regular flight connections to the continent and doesn't host any major scientific bases. Furthermore, the airport is essentially under military control, restricting private flights and only permitting commercially operated ships. Punta Arenas, while geographically further from Antarctica, boasts a far more significant role in Antarctic operations. A staggering 22 countries and global organizations utilize it as their primary base of operations. Regular flights to Antarctica depart from here every year, and private airlines are welcomed, making it the true aerial gateway to the continent. Ushuaia may have the advantage of location, but Punta Arenas undoubtedly runs the show. Argentina, in fact, made a critical error in its choice of an Antarctic air base. Instead of establishing a simple, easily accessible base at sea level, they constructed Marambio Base high in the mountains on treacherous terrain, making it completely inaccessible by land. Every piece of equipment, every drop of fuel, must be airlifted in by helicopter, rendering operations slow, expensive, and incredibly frustrating. For half a century, Argentina stubbornly clung to this flawed decision, while Chile strategically established efficient, well-planned bases that the world now relies upon. If things don't change, Ushuaia risks becoming little more than a tourist stop. Perhaps most alarming of all is the indication that Antarctica is reverting to its prehistoric past. It is supposed to be the coldest place on Earth. But recently, something shocking occurred. For the first time in recorded history, temperatures in Antarctica soared above 60 Celsius, 20 Celsius. This continent, buried beneath miles of ice, typically experiences temperatures plummeting to 112 80. Yet, in the winter of 2020, scientists recorded an astounding 69 20.5 on Seymour Island, hotter than many parts of Europe at that time. Scientists attribute this anomaly to several factors. Firstly, shifts in the way heat is distributed throughout the planet's oceans. Secondly, the thawing of permafrost due to global warming. It appears the climate is changing at an accelerated rate. In 2011, a team of Chilean scientists unearthed a bizarre fossil in Antarctica, resembling a deflated football. For nearly a decade, this peculiar rock sat on a shelf in Chile's National Museum of Natural History, bearing no specific label. It was simply referred to as the Thing, due to its resemblance to something from a science fiction film. When scientists finally got around to properly examining this strange fossil, they discovered it was actually a colossal soft-shelled egg, dating back roughly 66 million years. This particular specimen measured over 11 inches, 28 centimeters long, and 7 inches, 18 centimeters wide. For comparison, a standard chicken egg is only about 2.5 inches, 6.3 cm long, while an ostrich egg reaches almost 6 inches, 15 cm. The thing thus claimed the title of the largest soft-shelled egg ever discovered and the second largest egg of any known animal. The only egg larger than this one was that of the extinct Madagascan elephant bird, Epiornis maximus, a creature 1.5 times as tall as Michael Jordan. The Antarctic egg is also significant as it represents the first fossil egg ever found in this region of the world. The creature that laid it must have been immense, most likely a giant marine reptile, such as a mosasaur, Mosasaurus. This is surprising because most scientists thought these creatures imagine, millions of years ago, a creature unlike any we've ever seen roamed the Earth. Now, paleontologists have unearthed a fossil so peculiar, so enigmatic, it challenges everything we thought we knew. This isn't just another bone fragment, it's an egg. But not just any egg. A colossal thin-shelled anomaly, utterly unlike the typical dinosaur egg. In fact, its structure bears a striking resemblance to the eggs of modern lizards and snakes. Yet this egg came from an animal of gigantic proportions, far exceeding the size of any known contemporary dinosaur or even flying reptile in that region. Could it be? Was this the egg of a mosasaur? The mystery deepens. While definitive proof remains elusive, the evidence points strongly towards this marine reptile. Scientists embarked on a meticulous investigation, scrutinizing the eggs of 259 living reptile species, from the smallest lizards to the largest snakes. Their analysis suggests the mother of this extraordinary egg was a behemoth, stretching an estimated 23 feet in length, not even counting her powerful tail. Picture this: the late Cretaceous period, and a specific region of Antarctica transformed into a prehistoric nursery. Here, paleontologists have discovered a treasure trove of fossilized remains, the delicate bones of juvenile mosasaurs and plesiosaurs, mingling with the skeletons of their fully grown counterparts. This discovery paints a vivid picture of a thriving ecosystem, a haven for these ancient marine giants. Now, let's journey to Norway, where archaeologists have made a remarkable discovery of their own. Frozen in time, preserved within the icy grip of the high mountains, lie dozens of ancient arrows, remnants of a bygone era. These aren't just a few scattered artifacts. They're a collection of nearly 70 arrows, meticulously crafted and hidden beneath the ice for 6 millennia. Imagine a vast ice patch sprawling across an area equivalent to 45 football fields. In the unusually warm summers of 2014 and 2016, scientists ventured into this frozen landscape, exploring a site known as Langfon. Amongst the melting ice, they unearthed a wealth of archaeological treasures: reindeer bones, majestic antlers, and the scattered remains of ancient hunts. Some arrows were remarkably intact, others fragmented, alongside 5 distinct arrowheads. This is an unprecedented find, surpassing any other frozen site in the world in terms of arrow discoveries. These arrows offer a glimpse into the lives of ancient peoples. Some date back to the Neolithic period, while the most recent originate from the 14th century. Ice, in its remarkable ability to preserve, acts as a time capsule, safeguarding these artifacts in near-perfect condition. Langfon gained prominence when a local hiker stumbled upon a 3,300-year-old leather shoe near its edge. Now, scientists are meticulously studying these sites, piecing together the story of how people utilized these icy landscapes and how these ice patches have transformed across Norway and North America over millennia. Our journey through time continues, taking us back approximately 32,000 years to the frozen landscapes of Siberia. Here, a seemingly insignificant act holds the key to unlocking secrets of the past. A squirrel, diligently preparing for the harsh winter, buried seeds near a riverbank. These seeds belong to Silene stenophylla, a plant adorned with delicate white flowers. Millennia passed, and a team of scientists unearthed these seeds, entombed deep within the permafrost, at a depth equivalent to a 12-story building. The seeds were surrounded by a chilling testament to the Ice Age, the frozen bones of mammoths, bison, and woolly rhinoceroses. While some of the mature seeds bore the marks of the ancient squirrel's nibbling, younger seeds still contained viable plant tissue. With meticulous care, the scientists extracted these embryonic plants and nurtured them in sterile containers. The result was astonishing. The scientists managed to resurrect these ancient plants. The resurrected Silene stenophylla plants, while similar to their modern counterparts, exhibited subtle differences in the shape of their flowers. Remarkably, after a year, these Ice Age plants even produced their own seeds, perpetuating their ancient lineage. This incredible feat led scientists to propose that permafrost could serve as a vast repository of ancient genetic material, potentially allowing us to rediscover and even revive extinct species. Now, we travel to Antarctica, where an icebreaker embarked on a mission to study whales. However, the ocean held an even more extraordinary surprise. The camera trailing behind the ship, a device weighing as much as a family car, detected an astonishing sight on the Weddell Sea floor. 16 million icefish nests. Imagine a vast underwater city, a meticulously organized metropolis of life. These nests were spaced approximately 10 inches apart in all directions, covering an area of 93 square miles, slightly larger than Washington, D.C. The colony even possessed a distinct border, a clear line in the sand demarcating its territory. The scientists were initially drawn to this region due to a unique anomaly, a pocket of slightly warmer water. Within this warmer zone, they discovered an abundance of zooplankton, tiny organisms that serve as a vital food source. Young icefish, upon hatching, instinctively swim towards this area, feasting on the zooplankton before descending to the seafloor to mature and reproduce. While the presence of icefish in this warm water was expected due to the ample food supply, the sheer magnitude of the nesting colony was beyond anything previously imagined. This discovery shattered all existing records, revealing an underwater phenomenon of unprecedented scale. Finally, let's examine a remarkable find by New Zealand's Antarctic Heritage Fund. While exploring a hut in Antarctica, they uncovered a collection of old photographic negatives. These weren't just any photographs. They were unique images from the ill-fated Ross Sea Party, a component of Ernest Shackleton's ambitious expedition. Shackleton's grand vision was to become the first to traverse Antarctica by land, crossing from the Weddell Sea to the Ross Sea via the South Pole. However, disaster struck when their ship, the Aurora, was swept out to sea. The stranded crew was forced to seek refuge in a hut previously used by Captain Robert Falcon Scott. Scott's ambition was to reach the South Pole, a goal he achieved, but tragically, he and his team perished on the return journey. Imagine a time capsule buried beneath miles of ice, holding secrets of a world long lost. In the early 20th century, explorers ventured into the frozen South, seeking glory and discovery. One such expedition left behind a mystery that would remain unsolved for decades. A box of photographic negatives, fragile and forgotten, was discovered in an abandoned hut. These weren't just any negatives. They were made of highly flammable cellulose nitrate, stuck together like ancient scrolls. After a delicate recovery operation, the negatives were transported to New Zealand. There, experts painstakingly separated them, revealing 22 hidden images. Though damaged by time and the harsh Antarctic environment, the photographs depicted familiar landmarks around McMurdo Sound, a region well known to explorers. But who captured these images? The photographer's identity remains shrouded in the icy mists of history. Fast forward to December 2021. On the vast white expanse of the Larsen Ice Shelf off the eastern coast of Antarctica, scientists noticed an anomaly, a strange marking hinting at a hidden world beneath. Could it be a river flowing unseen beneath the ice? To find out, they embarked on a daring expedition, drilling down over 1,600 feet. What awaited them was beyond their wildest expectations. They anticipated water, yes, but not a teeming metropolis of life. The subterranean river pulsed with amphipods, tiny shrimp-like creatures darting through the darkness. The scientists were stunned. But the surprises didn't end there. The water itself displayed bizarre current patterns, flowing in multiple directions at once, a phenomenon that continues to baffle researchers. Then, nature delivered another shock. On December 20th, a volcano erupted thousands of miles away in Tonga. The pressure waves unleashed by this cataclysmic event traveled across the globe, reaching the hidden river beneath the Antarctic ice. The eruption's fingerprint was detected within the icy depths, a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of our planet, even in its most remote corners. The South Pole, a realm of penguins and seemingly endless snow, guards a hidden world, a ghost of its former self. Don't confuse Antarctica with the Arctic. The Arctic, located at the top of our maps, is significantly smaller and, frankly, far less enigmatic. The colossal ice sheet that blankets Antarctica is a staggering 1 to 3 miles thick. Imagine stacking up to 16 Eiffel Towers on top of each other. That's the scale of this frozen behemoth. This immense icy blanket conceals the true nature of the Antarctic landscape. We still know so little about this mysterious continent, and the ice and snow are largely to blame. We haven't even fully mapped its shape and size. Charting Antarctica without colossal shovels is an incredibly complex task. But now, satellites equipped with ice-penetrating cameras are beginning to unveil the secrets hidden beneath. They reveal an enormous, dramatic, and ancient landscape, a ghost from a distant past. Let's journey back 90 million years. Antarctica was a vastly different world. It was a lush, verdant rainforest, teeming with plant life and undoubtedly alive with creatures. Rivers meandered through the landscape. Then, around 34 million years ago, during the transition from the Eocene to the Oligocene epoch, the Earth's climate shifted dramatically. Our planet cooled, marking the beginning of a series of ice ages. The land remained, but it was slowly enveloped by ice and snow, which accumulated relentlessly. To the casual observer, Antarctica transformed into a desolate white desert, vast, flat, and seemingly featureless. But time continued its relentless march. The massive ice sheet shifted and flowed, sculpting and reshaping the land beneath. Over millions of years, it drastically altered the surface. If we could peer beneath the ice today, we would find little trace of the original South Pole, except in one remarkable region. In areas where the ice is exceptionally thick and relatively immobile, particularly in East Antarctica, a unique phenomenon occurred. The ice acted as a super-thick blanket, preserving the land beneath. Normally, wind and rain gradually erode the landscape, altering its form over time. But the protective ice blanket shielded the underlying terrain from these natural processes. As a result, the ground remained virtually unchanged for millions of years, as if frozen in time. This special region, near the Aurora and Schmidt subglacial basins, has become a ghost of Antarctica's ancient landscape. This area has remained virtually untouched since it was first covered in ice 34 million years ago. It's a historical footprint, a window into what Antarctica looked like before it became a frozen wasteland. As scientists have peered beneath East Antarctica, they've uncovered an astonishing sight: the ghostly remnants of rivers that flowed millions of years ago, a network of valleys and peculiar small islands, along with 3 large landforms shaped like the letter U. How did these features form? The continents on our planet are in constant motion, drifting across the Earth's molten mantle like cereal in a bowl of milk. Throughout Earth's history, they have collided and separated multiple times. Hundreds of millions of years ago, several continents were united in a supercontinent known as Gondwana. Antarctica was a part of this vast landmass. When Gondwana broke apart, Antarctica was subjected to immense tectonic forces. Pieces of land were stretched and pulled away from each other, torn asunder by the planet's restless forces. The continent was ripped apart. Imagine a world blanketed in ice, a continent shrouded in mystery. That's Antarctica, holding secrets buried beneath colossal glaciers. How did these massive landforms, these frozen behemoths, come to be? Scientific exploration seeks to understand this icy ghost, to peel back the layers of time locked within its frozen embrace. To truly understand Antarctica, researchers must delve deep, drilling through the ice like a straw, piercing a thick milkshake. They aim to extract samples of rock and sediment from the hidden depths, unlocking clues to Earth's ancient history and past climates. Antarctica, the 5th largest continent, dwarfs Europe and Australia in size, rivaling even the vast expanse of South America. Beyond East Antarctica, we find the Antarctic Peninsula, the South Pole, West Antarctica, and the Ross Sea, distinct regions of this frozen realm. This continent is effectively a frozen sandbox, its concealed landscape less explored than the surface of Mars. Beneath the ice, a hidden world awaits. It's not just a flat, featureless expanse, but a dramatic landscape of towering mountains, immense canyons, and even active volcanoes. Some volcanic peaks pierce the icy shroud, revealing their fiery nature to the frigid air. West Antarctica alone harbors at least 138 volcanoes, with a handful still active. Among them is Mount Erebus, the southernmost active volcano and the continent's tallest, soaring to approximately 12,000 feet. Deep within this icy giant, incredible subvolcanic caves exist, warmed by geothermal energy, where temperatures are surprisingly mild, almost balmy. The Antarctic Peninsula, also known as Lesser Antarctica, resembles a chain of mountainous islands hidden beneath the ice. It features relatively young volcanic rocks, remnants of the Pacific Ring of Fire, that vast zone of seismic and volcanic activity encircling the Pacific Ocean. Greater Antarctica, nearly the size of Australia, encompasses East Antarctica and the South Pole. Beneath its icy mantle lies ancient bedrock, some of the oldest on Earth, including the special zone we discussed. Antarctica is, unsurprisingly, almost entirely devoid of human habitation. With an average temperature plummeting to 46 degrees, it's a harsh and unforgiving environment. Yet, even in this desolate landscape, life persists, clinging to existence in the hidden underworld. In 2017, scientists discovered DNA traces of algae, moss, and potentially even unknown microscopic animals within these deep caves. This reveals that even under such extreme conditions, unique ecosystems thrive in isolated warm pockets beneath the snow. Another remarkable discovery occurred beneath Antarctica's Ross Ice Shelf, a vibrant ecosystem flourishing within an underground river. Scientists had long suspected the presence of freshwater lakes and rivers beneath the Antarctic ice. When a satellite detected a groove on the surface, they investigated, using a hot water drill to bore through the ice. Upon reaching the hidden river, they deployed a camera, expecting to find only rocks and sediment. Instead, they encountered a teeming community of amphipods, tiny shrimp-like crustaceans. These creatures swarmed the camera lens, momentarily obscuring the view. While humorous, this encounter confirmed the existence of a significant ecosystem deep within Antarctica. Now, further exploration is planned to unlock its secrets, and this is just the beginning. Antarctica's icy grip also conceals the deepest canyon on Earth, hidden beneath the Denman Glacier. While the Mariana Trench remains the deepest point on the planet, it's part of the oceanic crust. In 1958, explorers discovered a vast mountain range beneath the ice, rivaling the Alps in size and grandeur. This range stretches for approximately 745 miles, with peaks reaching heights of up to 1.7 miles. All of this magnificence lies buried beneath tons of ice. What other wonders remain hidden beneath the frozen surface? Antarctica holds approximately 60% of the planet's fresh water, making its stability crucial. The Thwaites Glacier, ominously nicknamed the Doomsday Glacier, is a massive ice formation about the size of Florida, and it's currently melting. Each year, it contributes to a 4% rise in global sea levels. If it were to completely melt, sea levels worldwide would increase by approximately 2 feet, a seemingly small number that would have catastrophic consequences for coastal regions. Fortunately, recent research suggests that even if its ice shelf were to collapse within the next 50 years, the glacier itself would not retreat as rapidly as initially feared. While it is still losing ice at an alarming rate, the process appears to be relatively slow. And just imagine, all it takes is someone casually browsing Google Earth to stumble upon the world's newest. Let's journey to one of the most perplexing regions on Earth. Picture this: a mysterious pyramid unearthed in the icy expanse of Antarctica. Almost instantly, the internet exploded with a flurry of speculation surrounding this geometric anomaly. Could it be a message from an alien civilization? Is this pyramid a product of nature, or was it constructed by intelligent hands? The truth is, this isn't the first pyramidal structure discovered in Antarctica. The initial sighting occurred during the British Antarctic expedition in the 1910s, an event shrouded in secrecy for decades. This concealment only deepened the enigma surrounding it. In 2016, a second similar formation was identified, amplifying the global fascination. Soon, scientists stepped in to unravel the mystery. These structures are simply mountains. They're situated near the Ellsworth Mountains, a colossal range spanning over 400 kilometers. These are essentially mountain peaks that have pierced through the immense ice sheet. Their distinctive pyramid shape? Pure coincidence. Pyramidal formations are a recurring motif in nature. Consider the Matterhorn in the Alps, or Mount Baljinder in Iceland. Both exhibit remarkably similar forms. Officially, these peaks are known as nunataks, isolated rocky summits that emerge from a glacier or ice field. But Antarctica holds far more wonders. Did you know it contains between 60% and 90% of the world's fresh water? This is due to its gargantuan ice sheet, the largest on our planet, stretching across a staggering 14 million square kilometers. That leaves a mere 1% of the continent free from ice. At its thickest point, the Antarctic ice reaches a depth of 4.3 kilometers, roughly half the height of Mount Everest. Imagine the consequences if it were to melt entirely. Global sea levels would surge by approximately 60 meters. However, this icy realm wasn't always so frigid. Once upon a time, Antarctica enjoyed average temperatures akin to those of modern-day Melbourne. Extensive research indicates that Antarctic temperatures may have soared as high as 17 degrees. This was, remarkably, during the age of dinosaurs, some 40 to 50 million years ago. Even time behaves differently on this frozen continent. All the lines of longitude, crucial for calculating time zones, converge at the South Pole. Here, the year is divided into 6 months of perpetual daylight, followed by 6 months of complete darkness. Consequently, scientists stationed here often adhere to the time zone of their home country. Now, imagine the blood falls, not a scene from a horror film, but a real series of waterfalls cascading in one of Antarctica's most arid regions. These falls originate from a subterranean lake teeming with unique bacteria. These microscopic organisms thrive on sulfates instead of sugars, a trait that deeply intrigues scientists. The water in this lake is saturated with iron, causing it to rust upon contact with the air, hence the waterfall's distinctive reddish hue and its evocative name. Let's shift our focus to a creature of immense power, the megalodon, Otodus megalodon, the largest predator ever to prowl our planet's oceans. This colossal shark inhabited nearly all the world's waters, save for those near the poles. The absence of megalodon teeth in Antarctic waters suggests that this giant was adapted to warmer, tropical, and subtropical environments. Planning a voyage to Antarctica? Be aware that your vessel will need a robust hull made of steel or aluminum to withstand the extreme weather conditions. Surprisingly, Antarctica is sparsely populated by insects. In fact, only one true insect species calls this continent home: the wingless midge, Belgica antarctica. This tiny fly, measuring a mere 2 to 6 millimeters in length, is nonetheless Antarctica's largest terrestrial animal. Many Antarctic fish possess a natural antifreeze in their blood. This substance isn't just for protection against the cold, but primarily to prevent ice crystal formation upon contact with ice. These antifreezes consist of large glycoprotein molecules that encircle any nascent ice crystals, preventing them from spreading through the animal's tissues and causing damage. They also act as tiny cushions, mitigating the sharp edges of ice crystals and reducing pain. Rainfall is infrequent on this icy continent, but Antarctica boasts a unique meteorological phenomenon: diamond dust. These are minuscule ice crystals that form in humid air close to the Earth's surface, akin to an icy fog. As they drift through the air and catch the sunlight, they shimmer and sparkle, creating a mesmerizing spectacle for those fortunate enough to witness it. Imagine a landscape of endless white, a continent sculpted by ice and wind. We find ourselves in Antarctica, a place of extremes where even the most basic events take on an extraordinary character. Here, surrounded by a seemingly infinite expanse of ice and potentially hidden diamonds, an event occurred that defied the odds. In 1978, the first human being was ever born on this frozen continent. Emil Marco Palma entered the world in this most unlikely of birthplaces. Since then, a mere 10 other individuals have shared the distinction of being born in Antarctica. Remarkably, within this icy realm lies a lake so saturated with salt that it resists freezing even when temperatures plummet to a frigid 15 degrees Celsius, 4 feet. This is because pure water freezes at 0 druida, 32 degrees. But the presence of salt or any other substance disrupts the freezing process, lowering the temperature at which ice can form. The degree of this reduction depends on the specific substance and its concentration within the water. Antarctica holds the distinction of being the last continent officially discovered, remaining unseen by human eyes until the 1820s. However, it wasn't until 2 decades later that its continental status was confirmed, dispelling the initial assumption that it was merely a cluster of icy islands. But life finds a way, even in the most desolate corners of the Earth. Believe it or not, even dating happens in Antarctica. On a December evening, an American scientist stationed on the continent logged into a dating app, driven by sheer curiosity. He expected to find no other profiles in this remote location. To his astonishment, he soon encountered a match. Another researcher stationed just 45 minutes away, albeit by helicopter. They eventually met and embarked on what is believed to be the first recorded date in Antarctica. Beyond its icy facade, Antarctica possesses another treasure, far more abundant than anywhere else on Earth: meteorites. Scientific research suggests that meteorites have an equal probability of landing anywhere on our planet. However, the journey through our atmosphere introduces complications. Humid climates, such as those found near jungles, contain high levels of moisture and oxygen, which accelerate the corrosion of meteorites. Antarctica's exceptionally dry climate minimizes corrosion, preserving these space rocks for millennia. Moreover, the stark white surface makes them far easier to spot than in any other environment on Earth. If the cold doesn't deter you, the ferocious winds might. Antarctica is, for the most part, the windiest place on Earth. Wind speeds have been recorded reaching a staggering 320 kilometers per hour, 200 mph. Now, observe this seemingly ordinary rock. At first glance, it resembles any other stone you might find along a beach. Its color is unremarkable, and it weighs a typical 4 pounds. But its story transforms when you discover that this rock originated on Mars, traveled across the vast expanse of space, and ultimately landed in Antarctica. The tale begins with researcher Roberta Score, a member of the ANSMET, Antarctic Search for Meteorites project, part of the U.S. Antarctic program. In 1984, she discovered this unique meteorite. Its designation, ALH8431, reveals its origins. ALH stands for the Allen Hills in Antarctica, where it was found, followed by the year of discovery and the sample number. Contrary to what you might expect, Roberta didn't immediately recognize the rock's extraterrestrial origin. Initially, its source remained a mystery, and its composition differed significantly from other meteorite groups found on Earth, further confounding researchers. So, how did they ultimately determine its Martian origin? The answer lies in traces of gas trapped within the rock, gases that closely matched the composition of the Martian atmosphere. This crucial information was obtained from the Viking landers, which conducted atmospheric analysis on Mars in 1976. This particular Martian meteorite is exceptionally rare. Of the thousands of meteorites discovered on Earth, only around 100 are believed to have originated from Mars. Even among these, ALH8401 stands apart, representing a distinct group. Let's journey back in time, roughly 4 billion years ago, to the Red Planet, the birthplace of this cosmic traveler. On a seemingly ordinary day, an event occurred that would forever alter its destiny. A massive meteorite impact ejected the rock into space, initiating its voyage as a small asteroid. At that time, it was significantly larger than when it was discovered on Earth. Eventually, ALH-AP4001's trajectory brought it close to Earth. Perhaps drawn by curiosity, it collided with our planet approximately 13,000 years ago, ending its epic space journey in the icy embrace of Antarctica. This Martian fragment is now one of the oldest known rocks. Let's delve into the fascinating world of meteorites. Initially, these space rocks didn't garner much attention. However, in 1996, a groundbreaking discovery propelled them into the limelight. NASA researchers began to investigate a fragment, pondering if it might hold traces of life from Mars, dating back to when ALH formed on the red planet. Remarkably, the scientists were correct. They detected minute magnetite particles, astonishingly similar in structure and chemical composition to those found on Earth. These particles, known as magnetofossils, are produced by magnetotactic bacteria. This suggested the tantalizing possibility that life once existed on Mars. Adding to the intrigue, in April 2020, scientists from the Japanese Space Agency unearthed nitrogen-containing organic material of Martian origin within a meteorite. Who knows what other astounding secrets await discovery through further examination? For now, one can embark on a journey to Antarctica, a prime location for meteorite hunting. Surprisingly, nearly 50,000 meteorites have been found on this icy continent, with hundreds of thousands more waiting to be unearthed. Each space rock holds a story, a piece of the puzzle of our solar system's evolution. The very first lunar rock discovered on this desolate continent proved that fragments from celestial bodies larger than asteroids can indeed reach Earth. Inspired? Decided to venture to Antarctica in search of meteorites? Prepare for a challenge. Despite their potential abundance, spotting these space rocks isn't as simple as it seems. You'll need to explore remote areas, with no guarantee of success. Sadly, meteorites are disappearing from sight. Currently, scientists find approximately 1,000 meteorites in Antarctica each year. However, a recent study reveals that around 5,000 more are being hidden from view annually. The culprit? Warming temperatures. Alarmed, scientists developed a model to pinpoint where these meteorites might resurface. This complex model considered snow cover, surface temperature, ice flow speed, and even the steepness of the terrain. Simulations under various warming scenarios revealed that meteorites were indeed sinking out of sight as temperatures rose. The researchers were understandably dismayed. They hadn't anticipated that climate change would so significantly impact their work. Despite the freezing temperatures, human activity has managed to compromise a crucial archive of the solar system. But let's return to your meteorite hunt. To increase your chances, head to the base of mountains or outcrops, where ice, typically flowing downwards, is forced upwards. Remember to bring your windbreaker. In these locations, powerful winds sweep away snow, exposing vibrant blue ice. Instead of melting, this ancient ice transforms directly into water vapor, aiding in the exposure of otherwise hidden meteorites. Time is of the essence. Meteorites on the surface disappear quickly. Even in sub-zero temperatures, these rocks can absorb solar heat and melt the surrounding ice, creating underground, or rather, under ice, tunnels for themselves, sinking and concealing themselves from view. Refreezing eventually seals these tunnels, trapping the meteorites inside, effectively hidden. Scientists acknowledge the difficulty in developing effective methods for spotting meteorites. If we don't act swiftly, we risk losing between 80,000 and 250,000 space rocks in total. It's no wonder scientists are on a mission to find more meteorites, focusing on meteorite stranding zones. These are areas where meteorites tend to accumulate on the surface due to specific geological features, ice flow patterns, and climate conditions. As mentioned earlier, meteorites are easier to spot on snow-free blue ice. However, finding these hotspots often relies on pure luck or endless hours spent scrutinizing maps and satellite images in search of blue ice zones near research stations. Enter Veronica Tolinar, a glaciologist, and her team. They've taken a giant leap forward by developing a smart Antarctic-wide map. Leveraging machine learning and satellite data from NASA, the Canadian Space Agency, and other sources, this map highlights areas where meteorites are most likely to be found. Let's consider where hidden treasures from the cosmos might lie, based on previous discoveries, climate patterns, and ancient ice formations. It turns out the edges of the Antarctic continent and the mountainous regions with blue ice are prime locations to discover meteorites. But it's not as simple as just finding blue ice. Factors such as temperature and the speed of the ice flow play crucial roles. If the ice moves too rapidly, meteorites are swept away before they can accumulate. To successfully locate a meteorite, very specific conditions must be met. The surface temperature needs to remain consistently below 16 degrees near, approximately 9 degrees, to prevent the meteorites from sinking into the ice. The Allen Hills region is a great starting point. This area has proven to be a meteorite gold mine, yielding over 1,000 finds, including our ALH meteorite. However, even more promising locations exist, such as the Fimbulheim Mountains, which remain largely unexplored. You could be the first to uncover the secrets hidden within those icy peaks. Researchers have developed a where-to-go index, ranking the best meteorite hunting spots, making future expeditions more focused and efficient. With vast, unexplored blue ice regions, countless meteorites are waiting to be discovered. So, what are we waiting for? Imagine Antarctica, a vast, snowy expanse where temperatures average a frigid 46 degrees, 43 degrees, covered in ice for millions of years. But the truth is, it wasn't always this desolate. Scientists have recently unearthed something buried deep beneath the seafloor that shouldn't exist. Tiny golden droplets of amber. This incredible discovery suggests that Antarctica was once teeming with life, covered in lush vegetation and towering trees. But a cataclysmic event transformed the continent into the icy wasteland we know today. The implications of this transformation could reshape our understanding of our own future. For eons, Antarctica has been a land of biting winds and relentless cold. No tree can survive in this harsh environment. Yet, scientists studying this frozen continent decided to drill deep beneath the Antarctic surface. They delved thousands of feet below the ice, extracting ancient layers of sediment. And there, preserved in time, they discovered minuscule pieces of golden amber. Amber, essentially fossilized tree resin, is found across the globe, often containing perfectly preserved specimens of ancient life. We see insects frozen mid-flight, pollen grains suspended in time, entire miniature ecosystems locked within these golden droplets. Amber has been found on every continent except Antarctica until now. These newly discovered specks range in size from 0.5 to 1 millimeter, smaller than a grain of sand, yet their significance is immense. These droplets once oozed from the bark of trees approximately 90 million years ago. What's even more astounding is that amber is only produced by specific types of trees, those that thrive in humid, temperate rainforests and jungles. It suddenly becomes clear. Antarctica was once a rainforest. These tiny flecks of amber, visible only under a powerful microscope, paint a vivid picture of a vibrant, thriving ecosystem. Around 90 million years ago, during the Cretaceous period, when dinosaurs like Tyrannosaurus rex, and Triceratops, Triceratops horridus, roamed the Earth, Antarctica was likely covered in lush, swampy forests filled with towering conifers, ferns, and other ancient plants. Some amber fragments show signs of damage, suggesting the trees that produced them had been injured, perhaps by wildfires or parasites. Despite these injuries, and the millions of years spent on the seafloor, the amber is remarkably well preserved. Solid, transparent, and free of cracks. Typically, amber buried under extreme pressure and heat deteriorates over time. But this piece survived, suggesting that other pieces may also have survived, waiting to be found on the ocean floor. This amber discovery wasn't the first clue that Antarctica was once a vastly different place. The story began in 2017 when a team of scientists drilled deep into the seabed near the Pine Island Glacier on Antarctica's west coast. They extracted sediment cores, long cylindrical samples of Earth that had been buried for millions of years. The contents of these cores were astonishing. Within these layers, they found fossilized roots, pollen, spores, the unmistakable traces of an ancient forest that once thrived in this now frozen land. Scientists have been meticulously studying these samples ever since. To avoid damaging the delicate fossils, they spent years carefully breaking down the sediment into thousands of tiny pieces and examining each one under powerful fluorescent microscopes. In 2020, the same team uncovered another piece of the puzzle. They analyzed more sedimentary samples from the ocean floor, revealing evidence of a land characterized by dense forests, meandering rivers, and extensive wetlands, a world resembling the Pacific Northwest or New Zealand. But why was Antarctica so warm during that era? The answer lies in the atmosphere. 90 million years ago, during the late Cretaceous period, Earth's carbon dioxide levels were astronomically high. This period was one of the warmest in Earth's history, with temperatures soaring even at the poles. Imagine a world